Welcome back to Coronation Street. It's Alex Belfield talking to the biggest stars of the soap, and we've got one for you today. One of my favourite people, Cath Tyldesley. How are you?
Hi, I'm really good, thank you. Are you?
You are really good, and you're also delicious, and that helps. What's it like being you? Because when I watch you in this, and I haven't said this to anyone else, I've been talking to them all day, I think you are the biggest personality on that show right now, and thank God for it, because that's the backbone of Corrie, the humour, the wit, the charm, the personality.
Thank you so much. That's blown me away a little bit, that's lovely. Yeah, well, I'm a massive Corrie fan, so the fact that you've said that is just lovely for me to hear. Thank you.
I don't watch the other soaps, and therefore I don't really talk to the stars of the other soaps because I don't know anything about it. But what I do know about this, the reason I like it, my mum likes it and my gran likes it, is the humour, the wit. The drama is great as well. And you write that line brilliantly. They give you your zingers and that laugh thing. What is that, by the way?
Well, my own laugh in real life is quite full on, and one of the directors heard it one day and he was like, could we exaggerate that a little bit more and kind of give it to Eva? So that's how it came about.
So you get to do the laughy bits, you get the zingers, you get to look hot, which of course we all need in Corrie, we need one of those, and then you get to do the drama as well. It's a dream role for that, because not everybody has that diversity in their character.
It's amazing. I mean, the writers here are just phenomenal, and like you say, they always get the right balance of tragedy and comedy, and that's one of the huge things about Corrie. That's why it's always worked and will continue to do so. And our new producer, I just can't speak highly enough of her. She's phenomenal. So I'm really fortunate that she also wants to invest time in Eva and is giving me some amazing storylines.
I guess that's what can become frustrating and the downside of something like Coronation Street. If you're not given the lines, you can't do anything with them. You've got to have a part to play.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's, thankfully, I've always been, fairly busy throughout. And I'm about to get even busier, probably the busiest I've ever been. But I love that. I love being busy. It makes me happy.
And in life, you're busy too. Were you born singing? I want to talk about this first because I knew you really before as a big star on Corrie as a great singer. And this is something that's coming full circle. You've got this new album coming out in November, but your voice is so beautiful. Are you a singer, an actress? What exactly are you?
I'm both. I think in this country, people get labelled, if you're an actress, you can't be a singer. If you're a singer, no, you can't cross over and be an actress. Shane had the same issues when he came, and he was like, he's not an actor. Yes, he is. He's both. And I think that's how I've always seen myself. I've always sang. I've always acted. I love them both dearly. And I just feel really fortunate that at the moment, I'm doing an album. The album's finished. That's out in November. And the fact that I've got Coronation Street, I literally thank my lucky stars every day. I feel so grateful to be doing what I love.
I was listening to Rise yesterday, which you can hear on YouTube as a little taster. And we get to hear a different type of voice because we've seen you on the telly doing it before, and they've given you these little slots in various shows which you've appeared on, and you've always nailed it. There's something classical and operatic about your voice. In the song that we've heard on there, Rise, it's sort of poppy, a bit jazzy. Did your style come naturally to you? Because it's a powerful instrument, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'd say my main influence was my grandfather, who very much sounded like a cross between Billy Eckstine and Nat King Cole. He had the most stunning voice. And so a lot of my influence comes from jazz and swing. But I am very, very eclectic. I love all kinds of music. And I think that comes through in the album, and I think it comes through on the single Rise for sure, and it does cross over slightly into the pop realms, which isn't something that I set out to intentionally do, but it's a great track. James McMillan and Michelle Escoffery, the writers are just, they're huge writers, so I feel really lucky that they've given me this song.
I think in life there's got to be an alchemy. There's got to be a time that's right for you to bring it out. There's got to be a time for you to look right and feel right. And it seems to me you found yourself at the moment. Do you realise how magical your life is? To be this young and this hot and this successful, hot in a sense of popularity on the programme, to be in work is incredible. There's a lot of people struggling out there. This seems to be your time.
Again, I just feel so lucky. Growing up, all I ever said growing up was, I want to be on Corrie. I want to be on Corrie. I want to be a singer. I want to be on Corrie. And they were the two things. But I am a massive believer in visualising. And I know that some people aren't, but I think if you've got positive mental attitude and you never ever give up, you will get to where you want to be. I'm a firm believer in that.
Providing you have talent.
Well,
There's no point being rubbish. You see, if I was going to be a supermodel, it ain't going to work, is it? Come on, be real.
I think,
You could deny it, by the way.
A lot of it in this business is luck. If you are the image that is in the writer's head or in the director's head or whatever, then you'll get the part. So yeah, a lot of it is down to luck. But yeah, I just feel very fortunate. And don't get me wrong, I've grafted my backside off. I did all the working men's clubs for years, singing and all kinds of jobs and stuff. So it feels really nice now to be finally doing what I really enjoy. It's
interesting. I started in the clubs too, and it's such a unique world. In fact, I was talking to Simon earlier about it. I mean, it's this little world you go into as an entertainer, and you're trying your best, and often they don't care. Never compete with the buffet or the bingo. Yeah. For you, was it wonderful? Was it intimidating, exhausting? How did you find it?
Well, I love to sing, and sometimes you'd step off stage and you think, wow, what a really receptive audience, had a great night. And other times, like you say, they were more concerned with the pasty and peas and the bingo. And I think if you can play the working men's clubs, you can play anywhere, because it is the hardest crowd to please. But yeah, it was such hard work, but I really enjoyed it. And I didn't drive at the time, so my dad was my roadie, bless him. He used to constantly run me around everywhere and help me set up. So yeah, I
was saying earlier actually that the reason I think I have such respect for people like you is I think anybody can read words, whether they do it well or average or whatever is another thing, but to stand on a stage is the ultimate test. And I think that's where you found your niche too when you do these other shows outside of Corrie. Is being a personality is why the public will end up loving you or not loving you.
Mm-hmm. For me, I trained in theatre, so it's so nice to get that live fix. And we experienced it here as a group when we did the live episode, and to get that fix when I'm singing is pretty awesome. There's no other feeling like it, playing in front of a live audience.
And I guess that's the problem with doing a soap where you're relentlessly churning out line after line. There ain't a round of applause at the end of it.
It's a completely different way of working, and you're honing your skills all the time. Doing Corrie is completely different from when I've done film, and film is completely different from theatre. And, again, you can be pigeonholed into one thing. And I'm like, I love it all. So therefore, I'm going to, push myself and try and tick all these boxes.
I love that. Bringing back the good old days of show business. And then we look at you now. I was researching you last night. Have you been Googled lately, by the way? Last night I was about 10:30. Then I was Googling you.
God knows what you found.
Well, I watched that documentary about diet, and we have this in common as well. I was about 18.5 stone when I was 18, and it is miserable. But unfortunately, I don't look like you. And I'm fascinated by your story, because at 17, you were size 22. And I look at you now, so defined by beauty and voluptuous and all that. Let's face it, you do know why the guys are watching.
I'm covered in makeup. It's not a true story.
Yeah. Anyway, and this story of your weight loss and your fight for glamour is extraordinary, and you look so well at it. I mean, no dangly saggy bits like I've got.
Do you know what? I was so lucky, because I lost the weight so young that I've got away with. Some people have to have these operations, don't they, to take away skin and all the rest of it. But I was fortunate that I did it young enough. So, but yeah, for me, it's no longer about weight loss. Now I've got my son. It's about how long can I be on this earth for? I want to see my great grandchildren. I want to be fit and healthy and running around after him, and my job as well. This is intense. We work long hours, and if you've not got your health, you've not got anything. It holds everybody else up if you're off poorly. So it's about respect for other people as well.
Are you amazed by how fascinated the press are by you and your image and what you do on the show? And then you bring out this album and they love to chit chat. And this show is so big and popular. You ain't going to keep anything a secret for long. And then there's social media added into that. It's an extraordinary bubble that you've got to kind of play along with or leave.
Yeah, it is weird. Like some of the stuff they pick up on, I'm like, oh my word, it's a slow day for news. But, at the same time, it's really nice when people can relate to me, and I love that. And a lot of the fan mail that I get, it is from people who are struggling with their weight or people who are chasing the dreams. A lot of young girls that are wanting to become singers, and they're like, wow, I can't believe you're doing an album now. And so it's really nice when people can relate to you, and you can chat to them about things that you're going through.
What was the moment where you looked in the mirror And for me, I never cared about what I looked like at all when I was 18. I never looked in a mirror. I was too busy showing off and doing what I did. And then suddenly there was a point where I went, you're just a big fat pig. You got to do something about it. That's the truth. Then, of course, the reality of making that happen. What was the defining moment for you when you thought, this is not healthy and this is not right? Because I've got a feeling, well, for me, vanity came before health. I wasn't so worried about that. It was the fact that I couldn't get in my jeans anymore.
It was a bit of both for me, because I went for an audition. And the director, I went to play a leading lady, and the director said, look, you are the fat funny one. You're good at it, and that's what you'll always do. You're a character actress, you'd be the fat funny one. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not what I wanted. I wanted to be the leading lady. And that was a massive kick up the backside for me, because also I was studying musical theatre and I couldn't keep up in the dance classes. I couldn't walk up the stairs without getting out of breath. So I knew that it was time to make a change.
And then we look at that now, and I think to myself, I could see you in the West End tomorrow. There are many roles that you would look perfect in. I guess Corrie for you is brilliant because it's so big, there's nothing bigger. And then you look at theatre and it's a quarter of the money and you got to do 8 shows a week. You must be pulled in many directions right now because you've got many options, which again is a wonderful position to be in.
Yeah, there's always other things that I would love to do. That is built into an actress. That's why we became actresses, because we want to play different parts. And the wonderful thing about Corrie and especially our new producer Kate is that she is an actor's producer. She gets it. She totally gets it, and therefore she tries to give you varied storylines. And if another job does come up, then they'll take each individual case on its own, and if they can make it work, then they will make it work, which I just think is wonderful because it gives you a breath of fresh air. It's the same with the singing thing. Corrie were like, yeah, go and do it. And I think it injects more life into you and makes you a better performer. So hopefully I can bring even more to the show now.
And I always say, you can't train personality, you can't train charisma, you can't make people like you, and you have that in abundance. And then I wonder about this new album. It's available from November, perfect time for Christmas. What are you giving us in this? Because this first track, as I say, it isn't jazz. You've talked a lot about jazz. It's very popular. I can imagine it making Radio 2 playlist. It's got that great sing-along feel.
It's very, it's very salsa, very Strictly. And I think there's a couple of the tracks actually that have got the same kind of feel, and that has predominantly come from working with the producer James McMillan, who has that influence in his work, and I've just fallen in love with it, and I can't speak highly enough of him. But then there are some, beautiful jazz standards on there. There's a song that's particularly close to my heart called Baby Mine, and I sang that song every day when I was pregnant.
Is that the Disney one?
Yes, it is. Huge Disney fan. So when I was pregnant, I sang it every day to Alfie, and now I sing it to him every night before he goes to sleep. He's no doubt bored to tears of it, but he knows it's bedtime when I sing it, and it was really important for me to put a song for Alfie on the album, and that's on there, even though I can't get through it without breaking down because I just keep thinking of Alfie. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there that's very personal to me.
We've spent 4.5 hours talking about you and your career and your success here and your beauty and all that. I guess all of that pales into insignificance when it comes to that little bundle of joy. None of it really matters.
It just puts things into perspective. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, what you're doing. Once you've had a child, they are the most important thing in the world to you. But the wonderful thing about Alfie is he's such a good, chilled out baby, and he adores music, which is a good job, because he comes to the band rehearsals with me and he kind of sways along and he's fascinated by the instruments, which I love. So we're on this journey as a family, and I said to my music agent at the beginning, I've got a son, he needs to be involved in all of this because otherwise it's not going to work, and they were great about that. And if I do a few tour dates next year, then Alfie will be right beside me.
There can't be many negatives in your life as I sit here looking at you now, but I suppose one of them is time. There are only so many hours in a day, and Corrie needs a lot of them. You have to be here a lot, and then being a mother and being a partner and being a sister and a daughter and all of that stuff. Is that the greatest toil at this point, trying to juggle everything?
Massively. There's a lot of coffee involved. At the moment, in terms of work, Corrie takes priority, and the singing has to kind of slot in as and when I'm able to do it around that. But we try to keep as many weekends free as possible because that is Alfie time, especially Sundays. That whole day is based around Alfie. And at the moment, that's difficult because I am doing promo for the single and the album. So I'm really busy now up until Christmas. And then we're definitely going to take some time out. Aside from Corrie, I'll be spending a lot of family time.
I can't see any bags under the eyes, but how many hours of sleep do you get on an average night?
I am a massive sleep geek, so I go to bed between 9 and past. I have to because Alfie wakes up around 5:30.
Wow.
Yeah, so if I don't get 8 hours sleep, I'm not a smiley person.
No, I'm a bit the same, really. That's another thing. Yeah, you can become a bit grumpy if you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. So I try and get as much sleep as possible.
And then in terms of diet and health and all of that now, how did you keep this? I mean, we just went to the canteen. There's loads of salads and stuff like that. Are you avoiding certain things, carbs, sugars, or is it just moderation? How are you keeping it, keeping the weight down?
Just balance. I don't believe in cutting out food groups because I've been there, done that, and you crash and burn. My diet is in general fairly low carb, but I do eat good carbohydrates such as sweet potato and brown rice, loads of root vegetables. But basically it's the Mediterranean diet. A lot of vegetables, a lot of fish, olive oil, nuts, avocado, and it's just going back to nature, eating from the ground. And I always say if it ran, swam or grew from the earth, eat it. Anything else has been tampered with.
And very finally, Eva, of course, one of the biggest stars of Coronation Street. Is she going to end up happy? Because she's in another mess at the minute. And we do wonder how somebody so beautiful and so gifted and so charming with that laugh and all of that always ends up being dumped or misplaced or abused. Or it's not going well for her, really, is it?
No, it's not. But as an actress, I love that. I do love it. And, I've been partnered up with some great actors, and working with Shane at the moment is brilliant. He's such a sweetheart. But bring it on. Bring on the drama. I love it. I love the ups and downs of Eva's life.
Is it going to work out with Aidan, or is that all over? What are we going to have in the next few weeks?
I genuinely don't know. I don't know that far ahead. All I know at the moment is it's a very rocky road, but filled with so many fantastic scenes. There's some wonderful writing coming up. So, we're loving playing these scenes out, so hopefully everybody will love watching them.
I think Coronation Street is in the finest form it's been in many, many years. It's got the young element, it's still got the Norrises and the Ritas who keep that wonderful charm that we need for Coronation Street, but you've got this young cast which are delivering, and you can only do that by the personalities that you bring, and you are certainly one of the biggest stars in the show, and one that I love the most right now. You're so funny and charming. Congratulations on everything. The new album's available. Cath Tyldesley's new album, Rise, will be available in November. Your website?
CathTyldesley.com, I think.
Very good.
I'll double check that, but yeah.
And we can find you on Twitter and all over the place as well. Really lovely to talk to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.